Well, it seems that God has given Jeff Hardy another chance out of all the multiple chances he's gotten. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that his court case ended, his recent one, that is, DUI and all that, ended on Thursday with the following punishments, as a result. Now, first of all, he could have served 38 days in jail, but he had a credit that will allow him to avoid that. However, the other punishments might as well feel like he should have been spending 38 days, if not the next, 700 plus days in jail, because here's what's going to be happening. First of all, he's got to pay about over $4,586 plus, I think, in court fees and fines. He's got to do that. Secondly, he's got to have an interlock device on him at all times. He's got to serve 2 years probation. He's got to enter a court-mandated DUI school or drug rehab program. And on top of that, he's got to do community service, I guess for the next 2 years. But probably the biggest one, and again, this might as well been just as bad as going to jail for the next 2-3 years. The biggest one is he's going to have his driver's license suspended for the next decade. You heard me. For the next 10 years, his license is suspended. Now, some would say it should have been revoked, period. But we all know that even if you revoke it, they always have a chance of getting it back if they prove they can be sober for like a couple of years, or at least show progress anyway. This decision, I guess, is to ensure, you'll still be able to drive, but you won't be able to drive for the next decade or so. So hopefully, in the judge's mind, it'll sink into Jeff Hardy that, hey, if you don't want to go through this again, then you might want to clean up your act. Now, some people might say that, some people might say that the punishment is severe, from a non-prisonal standpoint, and that is indeed true. It is indeed severe from a non-prisonal standpoint. But, when I look at this, yes, do I agree that the punishment is justified? Absolutely. I do absolutely agree it is justified. All the decisions they made were the correct decisions. However, we know how the justice system is, unfortunately. We know how lenient it can be in the coming years, especially when it comes to certain cases like this, and how, relaxed they could be and how forgiving they sometimes could be. And I would not put it past the courts to probably, be a little lenient and forgiving towards Jeff after the next couple of years. Here's why I say that. Yes, Jeff is in a situation now where he has no choice but to clean himself up and get sober. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. There's no getting around that. That is the absolute fact. There's no getting around that. But here's the thing. What I fear could happen is Jeff will improve. And I'm not being afraid that he won't improve. I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping he improves. I'm hoping he gets better. I pray he does. But here's what I fear is going to happen, though. You see, his suspension of his license is for a decade, justifiably so. But if he shows improvement over the next couple of years, gets through his probation, serves his community service, goes and does the DUI school or drug rehab program that's court mandated, pays the fines, which is chump change for someone like Jeff. Wears and doesn't tamper with the interlock device for the next couple of years of the probation. If he basically proves that he could pass all those tests that he's now going to have to go through and everything, and show that, hey, I've gotten better, I've gotten better, I'm rehabbed, I'm fully 100% sober now and all that, I would not put it past the courts to basically come out and say, okay, Jeff, you've proven it, you've shown you've improved, you've shown improvement, you've shown you can get better. So, as a reward, looking back at your case, we're going to axe, if you will, that's A-X-E, axe, 5 years off your driver's license suspension. In other words, 2 out of these, 10 years he'd be serving serving this probation without a license. Basically, he won't have to work, look forward or try to count down the days to the next 8 years before he could drive again and all that. No. Knowing how the system is very lenient, and I do apologize for that notification there, if you heard it, but knowing how the justice system can be, looking back on these cases and seeing potentially somebody proving to get better, I would not be surprised if they do axe off half of that sentence, and instead of looking at another, 8 years, 7.5 years, without a license, he could be looking essentially at less than that. Like, he's already gone 2 years, 2.5 years, and everything. He could be looking at another 2.5 years without a license, and then getting back, and then being allowed to get back on the road. I would not put it past the courts to do that in the next 2 years when he has to go back and show that, hey, I have improved, I've got better. That I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. I also would not be surprised if they bring him back to court maybe a year after everything has been served and taken care of, just to get an update to see how he's doing. And if they see more improvement, maybe in this updated, counseling, meeting, hearing, whatever you want to call it, I could see them, looking over the case again and being like, you know what, forget about those next 2.5 years. Your license has been reinstated. Just as a reward, just to say, hey, you've proven you've gotten better, you haven't drank, you haven't done anything stupid. Guess what? Now you can have your license back full time. A lot sooner than, a lot sooner than what it was suspended for, basically. I could see that. I'm not saying it will happen, but knowing how the justice system is in this country at times, when it comes to these kind of cases, I would not put it past them to do something like that. I would not put it past them to do something like that. I wouldn't. I would not put it past them, to do something like that, whatsoever. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that. Period. But again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but knowing how the system is, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it does occur. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, if you will. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Now, what about his wrestling career, you might ask? Well, there's a lot of people that replied online. This got the attention of several wrestling media sites. Well, a lot of them are telling Jeff, hey, just retire. You don't have any more to accomplish. You don't have any more to prove. Just retire. Live out your life healthy and safe, get better, and, don't worry about competing in the ring and entertaining us. Focus on your life. Focus on what remains of your future and go from there. And, they do, some of these fans do have a point. He should, look into probably considering hanging it up, at least for right now, which he probably has no choice but to do, and just enjoy life. Just enjoy life and not worry, about what comes his way, in the following months or in the following years as far as wrestling is concerned. Take it easy. They have a right to kind of voice that suggestion. I'm not saying that they don't. But if he still wants to compete, especially even if he's under lock and key and all that, if he still wants to compete, even though he's under lock and key, I could see them working out something for him. I could see them working out something for him to at least let him compete when an opportunity does present itself. I could see that happening. I could see that happening. I really could. I could see it occurring. No doubt. In fact, I could see them working out something with maybe Tony Khan, maybe Matt Hardy, to where, Jeff gets an opportunity to wrestle for AEW again when they come back to the Carolinas. I could see that. I could see that being a possibility. I'm not denying it. Well, I'm not saying it will happen. Nor am I denying it will happen. I could see that. Or I could see them going down a direction to where Jeff basically has to have somebody with him at all times that has, control over the interlock device, and that, when he goes and competes in whatever town, Dynamite's being, aired live in and Rampage is being taped live in, I could see him, honestly, I could see him getting an opportunity to do it, like, go and do that. But that the moment after he's done, let's say, doing an angle or a promo or having a match, I could see him going back to gorilla position, wherever that's going to be, whether he's done doing a false count anywhere match, or whether or not he's, just doing a regular in-ring match, whatever. I could see him, the moment he goes back into gorilla position, having that device placed back on him, right away, so that, that way he could get escorted back, basically escorted back to his home in the Carolinas. Basically, the moment he gets his device locked back on him, grab his bags, and then out the building they go, get in the car, get to the airport, fly off to, his home, and that's it. That's it. Now, you might say, well, AEW's doing house tours. They're going to be doing live events soon. Wouldn't he want to be part of that? Yeah, he could. Well, he could want to be part of that, but again, I think for his sake, if he wants to wrestle, even while he's under this whole situation, he's got two options. Either wait till Dynamite and Rampage come live to the Carolinas, come to be aired live and taped in the Carolinas. Wait until then. Wait till a house tour event comes to the Carolinas. I could see being that, or just, do a weekly showing on Dynamite and Rampage. Like I said, where you have him do an angle, a promo, a match, whatever kind of match it is. And then the moment he get an opportunity, like as soon as he heads towards gorilla position or wherever he's, asked to, basically ordered to basically meet back up at, you instantly put the interlock device on him. I mean, heck, if you have him do a false count anywhere kind of match, you just have the person just follow with the crowd and everything to keep an eye on him. And the moment the match is over, you have the guy call out to him, or the person call out to him, and then put the device back on him there, and there you go. There you go. Just go with that, direction and everything. Just go in that direction, and you should be good, as far as I'm concerned. You should be good. Now, I know people might say, well, that's not possible for them to do either way, especially if he does a false count anywhere situation. And look, I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Now, I could see him just having him compete, in regular matches, in the ring, so that way when he goes back to Gorilla, they just put the thing back on him and he's done, and he's escorted back out. I could see that too. But, if he wants to compete, these are just, if he wants to still compete wrestling-wise in the ring, these are variable options that could occur, because there's a lot of people in sports, in athleticism, in acting, entertainment overall, that do this kind of thing too. You know, they get to do their job, and then after the job's done, they get the device put back on them, they're escorted back home, end of story. So I could see Jeff doing something like that if he still wants to compete, and they find a way to work it out to where he can still do that. I could see it. But anyway, though, guys, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we'll have to see. But anyway, though, guys, that's all I'm going to say on it. What are your thoughts on the sentence? Give me your thoughts down below. Do you think he might be able to wrestle again? I'd like to hear from each and every one of you on that. And until next time, I got to get into work, guys. So I will talk to you all later. But give me your thoughts. Love to hear from each and every one of you.